Good morning, everyone. Bonjour. Happy New Year 2026 for all of you. Thank you for watching me. Today I take you again outside along my bamboo lane. Okay, I'm delighted to be back with you for the first full moon of the year, happening on January 3rd, 2026 at 8:02 p.m. Brisbane time, Australia, and she's sitting at 13 degrees, 1 minute in Cancer. So feel free to like this video and share it if you wish. So full moon always corresponds to an opposition between the sun and the moon. The sun represents what you consciously seek to build, your direction, your responsibility, what you take on in the world. And the moon speaks of your emotional needs, your inner world, what makes you feel secure, sometimes unconsciously. When these two poles face each other, a tension arises, but a productive one. It is often through this imbalance that something becomes clearer. This full moon on the Cancer-Capricorn axis presents a powerful tension between control and emotions, between maturity and the need for protection, between reason and emotional memory. It is a time when emotions demand to be heard, when responsibilities must be readjusted so as not to completely overwhelm your personal needs. A time when you must accept that what was repressed is resurfacing, precisely so that it can be processed. It is a time of inner truth, sometimes uncomfortable, but always useful for growth. So this full moon clearly tells you that it is time to balance what you feel and what you do, to review your emotional priorities, to recognize what still requires protection or what should evolve in how you manage relationships, expectations, and constraints. This lunar cycle brings a psychological climate that is not meant to weaken you, but to help you reintegrate parts of yourself that have been set aside, to remind you that a human being is not a management system, and that even the strongest Capricorn cannot indefinitely ignore their Cancer side, their inner moon. So now let's look at the energy of this full moon in more details. So in the landscape of this full moon, the moon conjunct retrograde Jupiter in Cancer, and they both oppose the Sun, Venus, Mars conjunction, all conjunct, in Capricorn. This highlights an inner conflict, the need to hold on, to be solid, rational, and reliable. This is Capricorn. Against the need to feel safe, understood, protected, and recognized. This is Cancer. The conjunction Sun, Venus, Mars in Capricorn directs your energy towards self-control, rigor and lucidity, responsibility, and sometimes even emotional austerity. Here you seek to be efficient, to move forward directly, and at the same time not to be overwhelmed by what might defy logic. So in this climate, in your relationships, you will seek to clarify, stabilize, and above all, bring order. Mars in Capricorn channels action with precision and almost with coldness. He cuts, he slices, and he decides. On the other side, the conjunction Moon-Jupiter in Cancer awakens the complete opposite. Moon-Jupiter reactivates your archaic needs, the most personal, the most intimate. So during this lunar cycle, emotions take up a lot of space and refuse to be intimidated by the Capricornian control. Hypersensitivity is very present at this time, and memories may be reactivated as may the need for reassurance. So you see, we have a strong confrontation here, where the rational and the emotional don't speak the same language. This full moon can be a moment of emotional revelation, where what was not said finally comes out, or is felt so clearly that it can no longer be ignored. There is a kind of point of no return here. So the Cancer-Capricorn axis, the axis between the inner life and the social life, is activated strongly, and this creates tension. On one side, the moon in conjunction to retrograde Jupiter in Cancer really amplifies this tension. Jupiter in Cancer is exalted, and like we said, it amplified emotions, sensitivity, memories, and the connection to the past. And in retrograde, this amplification turns inward. It is as if this full moon invites you to revisit certain old emotions, certain ways of protecting yourself. Not to lock yourself away in them, but to better understand what continues to act within you, sometimes without awareness, your awareness. On the other side, we have the conjunction Sun, Venus, Mars in Capricorn. Here, Mars in Capricorn pushes you to act with mastery and discipline. Venus in Capricorn questions your values, your relationships, and your approach to emotional commitment. So, this opposition on the Cancer-Capricorn axis can create strong tension between what you deeply feel and what you feel you must contain, control, or take responsibility for. And this can create a gap between your heart and your mindset, between emotion and responsibility. But this tension is not without resolution. The planets in Cancer and Capricorns form harmonious aspects or conversations with the lunar nodes in Virgo and Pisces. This suggests a possible path of evolution. The South Node in Virgo shows a tendency to want to analyze, understand, and rationalize what you feel. The North Node in Pisces invites you to evolve towards more letting go, trust, and intuitive listening. Here, resolution does not come from more emotional control, but from a more fluid acceptance of what is felt. Letting go does not mean giving up or to flee. This means accepting that you can't control everything immediately and letting emotion flow without judgment. And this dynamic is reinforced by the conjunction Saturn-Neptune in Pisces. This duo works deeply on your inner structures. It seeks to dissolve emotional rigidity that have become too narrow in order to build a more sensitive, more conscious, more aligned maturity. Where I'm going. Then we have Uranus retrograde in Taurus, which forms a gentle sextile conversation with Saturn and Neptune. But he also opposes the Black Moon Lilith in Scorpion. There is a subtle but powerful interplay of forces here. Uranus has been trying to release all patterns of security for several years now. And currently, as he will leave Taurus on the 26th of April this year to enter Gemini, he is in his final phase. So he is really insisting now. Here, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Pisces offers a gentle and progressive transformation. And the Black Moon Lilith in Scorpion brings to light deep fears, often linked to control and loss. So this atmosphere invites you to look at your shadows, not to fight them, but to offer them a new space for understanding. So we can see that Chiron in Aries creates a tense dialogue, a square to Jupiter in Cancer as well, and is widely squaring the moon also. So psychologically, this is an additional point of tension. Chiron often touches on old wounds, and here in Aries, it can reactivate those related to self-affirmation, legitimacy, and the right to fully exist, the fear of not being recognized or protected if you dare to be fully yourself. This sensitive Chiron-Jupiter conversation is not to weaken you, but to initiate a gentler, more authentic healing process. Therefore, during this period, don't be surprised if you experience a kind of irritability, perhaps more present in your daily life, a particular sensitivity even without apparent reason, a feeling that you have been criticized or misunderstood, and perhaps in these situations you will have difficulty setting real boundaries. Or conversely, you might react too strongly. So be aware of that. At this full moon, another important conversation is a square of Mercury in Capricorn to the conjunction Saturn-Neptune in Pisces. And this conversation adds an additional pressure on the mind. So your thoughts may lack clarity. You may doubt your own analysis, you may hesitate, you may ruminate. Communication may become drier, more rigid, or on the contrary, full of unspoken things. Here you will try to be logical, but the information seems muddled. So it is a period where you will reflect a lot. You may overthink, dwell on things, have a lot of questions. So now, how can you navigate this full moon in Cancer without too much stress? Well, the first thing is really to sort through your emotions and reactions. As we have seen, the Moon-Jupiter conjunction amplifies feelings, especially in the face of authority or any form of external pressure. So, before responding to someone or a situation, take a deep breath or take 10 seconds. This will prevent you from reacting, and it will allow you to respond to the other person from a more stable place. The idea here is to be able to differentiate between what you truly feel and what is merely an automatic reaction. The second thing is perhaps to write down what is weighing you down, to let go in writing of what bothers you, and then to structure what you can control. Because the Cancer-Capricorn axis requires moving from raw emotion to pragmatic clarity. So write down what annoys you, what worries you, and then separate the list into two columns. Left columns, what depends on me. Right columns, what does not depend on me. Meaning what you have no control over. And you will see how relieved you will feel. The third point, very important at the beginning of this year, is to return to a minimalist routine, if it's possible, of course. The best response is to reduce complexity, to embrace simplicity. The idea is to walk during the day for those who are sedentary and limit screen time. All of this will be effective psychologically. Another important point is to feel, but without drowning in your feelings. Because retrograde Jupiter amplifies emotion, we know that now. But the positive side is that he also encourages you to introspection, So don't try to solve things immediately. It is not helpful right now. And also be aware that the Sun-Venus-Mars conjunction in Capricorn can accentuate the need for performance. So it is better to choose just one requirement, one task, to ease a deadline that you can move or simplify. In fact, by relieving one aspect, you will alleviate your entire situation. Another point is not to seek external validation, because during this full moon, sensitivity to approval increases, and it is also the time when external responses will be the least reliable, because people around you are also overwhelmed. So the idea here is to return to your own internal compass. That is to say, your intuition, your instinct. And during this full moon, you might be inclined to project yourself, to imagine, to anticipate, to limit your projection, because if you don't have a concrete proof, wait before drawing conclusion, because your mind risks being clouded by amplified emotions. Cancer needs reassurance and Capricorn needs control, so try to look at a situation you consider difficult from a more mature perspective, that is, with some distance. There is a question that you could use, very effective. You could ask yourself, if I was 10 years older, how would I view this situation? And that, believe me, is a step back that will activate a calmer judgment within you, and above all, a less reactive one. So to summarize, this full moon in Cancer invites you to return to the essential. She sheds light on your emotional needs, your defense mechanism, and the way you build your inner security. She reminds you that maturity is not about stifling your emotions, but about providing them with a just framework so that they can express themselves without overwhelming you. It is a subtle but essential balance. As a new year begins, this full moon can be a precious moment to feel what deserves to be honored before seeking to move forward. So if this video has helped you better understand what is happening within you through this full moon, you can give it a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Françoise, the Guiding Star. So for my part here, I wish you a very beautiful and introspective full moon, and I will see you at the next round. So may we all be blessed with love and light.